God. This is like bottom of the barrel YouTube bad. Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. Today I will be chatting about keto and intermittent fasting enthusiast, everyone's favorite doc, Dr. Eric Berg. But first, let me tell you about my sponsor, Kettle and Fire. So I first tried bone broth during my SIBO saga, and while I never really got into drinking it on its own, I became obsessed with using it in place of basic broth or water in recipes to bump up the protein and nutrition. But Kettle and Fire has become our go-to because it's the first shelf-stable, nationally available bone broth in the States that's made with high-quality, grass-fed and finished beef bones and organic pasture-raised chicken bones, plus veggies, herbs, and spices. They use a really slow simmer time to extract the maximum amount of nutrients, amino acids, and collagen-based protein. So a cup of Kettle and Fire in place of water in recipes can add 10 grams of quality protein. That's a huge boost in hunger-crushing compounds and rich flavor. They carry a wide range of products that include vegetarian options as well. Actually, they even have a whole new cooking broth line and ready-to-eat soup line as well. I've talked about the emerging research on collagen protein specifically right here, but I'm personally quite encouraged by the positive findings for joint and bone health. And since it's just such an easy, simple way to get more protein in my day, it's something that I can just add to the recipes I already love. So if you want to try out Kettle and Fire to bump up the protein content in your meals and snacks, check out the link in my description to learn more. And you can pause the screen or look at the description to check out my general disclaimer, including a trigger warning for those with current or previous experiences with disordered eating. As always, feel free to skip this video if it's not supportive to your journey. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you are new here and ring that bell so you never miss out. And also, do not forget to follow me over on TikTok and Instagram at Abby's Kitchen. Oh boy, where do we start? We have a lot to unpack here, folks, but I do want to kick things off with a classic diet review from the man behind the Healthy Ketosis program, who insists you need to do keto and intermittent fasting to be younger, thinner, happier, smarter, and less diseases. That's quite a tall order there, bud.
I don't know what you're talking about, but my gut says no.
But let's take a look at what Dr. Berg himself eats apparently every single day from his video with over 1 million views.
I will usually get up about 5:30 in the morning, and I will have coffee, a very small cup of coffee. It's organic, and I put cream in there, whole cream, and it's grass-fed organic. Half a teaspoon of xylitol. So I will drink that, and then I'll have about 4 of my nutritional yeast tablets. Okay, I just feel good when I take this. I get up early, I study nutrition, and during that time I might have a Ticino, which is a non-decaffeinated alternative coffee type drink, or some more tea.
Nutritional yeast by itself for breakfast? I'm a fan of Nooch, but this is such a strange suggestion. Like, it seems kind of like a clunky way to squeeze in a plug for a product from his supplement line. Why not just put it in your eggs?
So my first meal is at 1:30, and of course I love eggs. They're pasture-raised organic eggs. I put sea salt and pepper, and they're fried in butter. In addition, I'll do 6 slices of bacon, or 3 sausages, or 2 grass-fed hot dogs, okay, with the eggs.
That's a lot of saturated fat and salt in one go. Listen, like, I am a huge fan of eggs, and I'm also not opposed to any of these ultra-processed meats in moderation. But it does seem ironic that he advocates eating 2 hot dogs a day, yet his website explicitly differentiates his Healthy Ketosis program approach from the traditional keto plan by suggesting you avoid processed foods. Grass-fed or farmer's market, it doesn't really matter. Like, these are all still ultra processed foods that should be enjoyed in moderation, because in excess, they have been linked to things like heart disease, metabolic syndrome, cancer, and all-cause mortality. And this is just one of many examples where Berg continually contradicts his own advice.
Now I'll do 4 ounces of cheese, and sometimes I'll throw some olives in there, but I'm a little spoiled with cheese, okay? So this is the type of cheese that I like, and this cheese is produced from sheep on a mountaintop in France.
I would love to know what would happen to Mr. Berg here if the sheep who produced his cheese were not to come from a mountaintop in France. Devastating effects, I'm sure.
If I have an avocado, I will also add that in there. And that's pretty much my meal. And then right after the meal, I may consume about 4 tablespoons of almond butter with celery or pecans.
Okay, so if you're going to go keto, I say this is where you want to put your money. I would love to see a greater emphasis on some of these plant-based sources of fat, which provide the benefits of fiber and phytonutrients with less saturated fat, sodium, and nitrates. Again, I'm not saying to not have your hot dogs or your bacon, but rather to shift the proportion of our fat sources to plant-based where we can. But I mean, even still, 4 eggs, 6 rashers of bacon, half a brick of cheese, olives, an avocado, quarter cup of almond butter, pecans, and dairy butter all together seems like a lot of fat for the old gut to process at once, which is naturally the slowest macronutrient to digest. Most folks would not feel so good.
So I will add my electrolyte powder, wheatgrass juice powder in a mason jar, shake it up, and drink that down. It seems to give me some good energy through the afternoon.
So I want to clarify this. Electrolytes and powders do not give you energy, calories do. And specifically for folks who are not in ketosis, carbs are the energy source of choice. I just think as a professional, Berg needs to be a little more cautious about some of the claims that he makes about supplements that he sells himself. Electrolytes are, however, helpful for some when doing keto or fasting because a drop in insulin can increase water and electrolyte loss. So if you're feeling some of the symptoms of hyponatremia like headaches, lightheadedness, fatigue, nausea, and muscle cramps, it's worth seeing if a little extra sodium can help. Wheatgrass, on the other hand, isn't stimulating, nor does it contain many energizing calories or carbs. But if anything, it contains some micronutrients, and it probably offers something kind of flavored to sip on in an otherwise kind of monotonous day. So maybe that alone may offer the feeling of vitality and life.
Now, about 5:30 is when I'll eat dinner. Okay, I'll have a huge salad. I'm talking like about 10 cups, okay, all at once. And I don't do spinach, I do other types of lettuce leaves and cabbage, cut bell pepper. I'll stick sometimes an avocado on there, maybe some other vegetables, sometimes pork rinds and seeds, roasted seeds that are salty with sea salt, okay? So then I'll have my grass-fed beef or pork sausage, which is from the farmer's market again, wild-caught salmon as my protein. And sometimes for dinner, I'll have the summer sausage, probably half of this with cheese.
10 cups? Oh dear Lord. Like, again, I'm happy to see some vegetables going on, but this diet is screaming indigestion and bloat. And this is one of the many reasons why combining keto and a very short intermittent fasting eating window is often bad news bears. Without any carbs, we're looking at needing to eat large amounts of very slow digesting fats and high volume fibrous foods all at once just to meet your nutrient needs. And that is not gonna feel good or even be safe necessarily for the vast majority of his 7 million subscribers. Listen, if you're absolutely convinced by the benefits of keto or fasting for you, they can absolutely be had without needing to go to such extremes. And that's it, folks. That's what Berg eats in a day, apparently every single day. And to my comment section warriors coming at me, but that's not his most recent one night a day. I got you, babes. Because I watched that one too, and it's pretty much almost identical. Like, same, different year, but with a little less commentary. And that just goes to show how painfully monotonous this way of eating can be. In his more recent video, he includes a disclaimer that
I can eat the same thing every single day.
And I assume that is the case. At the end of the day, there are only so many options when you need to meet your calorie needs on such a limited number of allowed foods. But it's important to note that diet variety is actually really important for long-term health, not to mention the health of our microbiome. So this is just one of the many reasons why I would never recommend a diet as restrictive as this for the general population. I also think that to share what you eat personally with a disclaimer that, this is just how I eat is one thing. I am actually not against intermittent fasting or the keto diet for the right person. If it works for you and you feel good eating that way, amazing. You do you. But when a health professional's personal diet becomes the only diet they promote and prescribe, we're playing in grossly unprofessional waters. No nutrition professional would only recommend a singular way to eat. Our job is to shelve our own bias, acknowledge that all bodies are unique, and to take into consideration an individual's preferences, budget, lifestyle, morals, culture, and unique health conditions and concerns. We need to meet people where they are. But Berg's pages are overwhelmingly slanted to cherry pick and present a strict keto intermittent fasting lifestyle as the key to good health. He also is known to completely ignore the body of evidence to further his personal agenda and opinion. So for example, Berg states that the keto diet will decrease your bad LDL cholesterol. But meanwhile, a large 2013 systematic review actually found it to do the opposite. Further, a 2019 review found that keto diets are not superior to other methods of weight loss, but rather they have low retention rates, have negative side effects, and are associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular mortality. So instead of citing the best evidence on these topics that we have, he cites one super small study with 66 obese patients, aka not the general population, that had a positive LDL effect.
It is scientific fact.
That's not how we do science, people. That's not how we do research. And that's not the only thing the knowledge doc, as he calls himself, has been known to give dubious advice about. In his video on why you shouldn't eat 100% whole grains in your diet, he puts a bunch of scary words on the screen like increases weight gain, fatty liver, and cholesterol, malnutrition with 10.9 million deaths under 5 years old. That's frightening. But meanwhile, literally all the evidence that we have to date points towards the benefits of eating whole grains for things like cholesterol, weight management, and longevity. The evidence in support of whole grains, of all things, is pretty indisputable. Hard stop. In another video, he shares the best ways to get rid of love handles, kicking off by saying this.
The medical term for love handles is a muffin top.
I'm pretty sure that's not the medical term. But anyways, in this video, he insists a bunch of exercises will help you get rid of your love handles for good, but fails to mention that you can't spot train your body fat deposits without losing weight overall. That should have been what the video said. You can't spot train. I have to give the guy's team credit for his clickbait talent, but when the content itself is also total BS, I get pissed.
I am so freaking pissed.
We also have to mention that a lot of the supplements that he brands and sells are largely not evidence-based. Take his blood sugar support, for example, which I do feel is kind of crossing an ethical line in a lot of ways. Healthy people don't need supplements to fix their blood sugars, and folks who do need support because they have diabetes or insulin resistance should be working with their healthcare team on an appropriate, safe strategy. Taking freeze-dried, grass-fed bovine pancreas is not a safe or evidence-based way to fix your pancreas. In fact, there's no evidence on the safety of this for humans, and the only other product that I could see that uses bovine pancreas is in dog food. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but no. I also think it's important to note that my team and I looked but found no mention of third-party testing on any of his supplements, which if you're a regular Abby's Kitchen viewer, you know should be red flag number one. And it gets even more dangerous than this. He's been accused of spreading misinformation linking vaccines to autism, which is a dangerous assertion that has been thoroughly debunked. He also shares tips on what to do when your child does have autism, including including, surprise, surprise, go keto, cut out grains, intermittent fast, and detox from heavy metals. Honestly, the fact that Google hasn't de-indexed this guy's website is irresponsible as ultimately, this is what happens when healthcare professionals overstep their professional boundaries and scope of practice. I never want to disrespect the work of any allied health professional or paint them all with the same brush. But it's people like Dr. Berg who give chiropractics a bad reputation. Let's get one thing straight. Chiropractors are not dietitians, and while they can use the term doctor, they are also not medical doctors. And this is obviously very deceiving and confusing to the public, which is part of the reason why he was reprimanded in 2007. There were a number of grievances, including selling bogus and potentially dangerous techniques and tests, giving out advice outside of his scope, and constantly branding himself as doctor without clarifying that he was a chiropractor, not an MD. Again, no offense to chiropractors. I know there are a ton of talented and evidence-based practitioners out there, but I do wish that they had a different designation that didn't lead to this confusion. Same with MDs, who I also support, but whose approach and scope are very different compared to MDs. Ultimately, I rarely watch a YouTube channel that fills me with such rage. Most of the time when I critique the misinformation I see from influencers on YouTube, I feel some personal empathy and compassion because most influencers have just been misled on their wellness journeys themselves. While they still should be held responsible for their content, I often think they genuinely don't mean to do harm. But people like Dr. Berg should and do know better. He was taught his scope. He was taught how to read, interpret, and cite research. He was taught he is to do no harm. But with over 7 million vulnerable subscribers, I see a lot of potential harm. So please, if you see one of his videos pop up in your feed, scroll on by. Like, nobody's got time for science denial. And on that note, that is all that I have for you guys today. If you like this video, be sure to give it the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below on what or who you'd like to see me review next. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye!